even if it's not your meeting, but you see it in a different meeting, those are allowed under Coma, but just based on those 3 criteria, and then there's 7 topics that can be addressed. And that's on page 9. Personnel matters relating to non-elected personnel, consultation with an attorney for the body or agency which would be privileged in an attorney-client relationship, matters relating to employee-employer negotiations, confidential data relating to the financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, individual proprietorships, matters relating to action affecting a person as a student, patient, or resident of a public institution, preliminary discussion relating to acquisition of real property, matters relating to security measures that protect specific systems, facilities, equipment, including persons, private property if related to the agency. Those are the only 7 things that you can go into executive session. You should never go into executive session if you do not have city legal counsel in the executive session with you. So if there was ever anything that the Planning Commission would have, we would have the city attorney here to go into that session with you. Okay. I'm not going to go through, if you look at it says what's permitted under the personnel subject, and so it kind of goes through each of those things in detail, and you can look at that. And it goes through enforcement of Coma. This is the guide that we also give to all of our residents, so our residents can be aware of what this is. But it talks about the enforcement of what do you do if you're a resident or someone that you think Coma's violated. It walks through and tells you the scope of what you can do. And then it's always, one thing I want to make you understand is that this is not a criminal offense if you violate Coma. It's really, they call it, it's a civil statute is what it is. It's not criminal. But you can be fined $500 individually per each member of the body that would violate it. So while it's not criminal, it can be costly. And if you had 4 or 5 violations, that could add up pretty quick. And the city will not cover that. That would be your role to make sure that you know how to do that. Okay? Now, here's the great thing about it is we work very hard with all of our members of our commissions and boards to make sure that they do know and understand. And our role as staff is to help guide you. We don't expect you to know all these things. So our role, Mr. Hall's role, is to help guide you so that we don't make these mistakes. If there was a mistake made and it was turned in to the Attorney General and they deemed that there was an issue, most likely you would get, you know what, this wasn't willful and wanton, it was a simple mistake. Do some additional training and make sure that your commissioners and whoever knows the right thing to do. If you do it over and over and over, then they're going to probably come back and go, no, you know what, we're not okay with that because now you continue to violate Coma. So just things to be aware. Don't be afraid. We're not going to let you get there, but you have to be aware of that. So just briefly, we'll talk about CORA, and that's on page 13. And CORA, that's not my grandmother. That's the Kansas Open Records Act. When I first came here, I kind of started laughing. I'm like, what is Coma, CORA, carrot, market? I'm like, what are these things? So we don't go to market and get a carrot, and grandmother didn't go into a sleep. So anyway, with your Kansas Open Records Act, this is the law that permits the public to review or get copies of public records. As you know, the items that we do are open for inspection to our citizens for public records. They are made and maintained. Our city clerk, who many of you met tonight being sworn in, Kim Leroy, is the city's record holder. She is the official record holder for the City of Gardner's records. So things that will come in, if someone requests, most of them will come through the city clerk's office. We'll gather the information and then send that to our individuals. And again, we are a group. You are a group that is subject to open record. If any of you do have email, they touched on that a little bit in the video, and you're emailing about a project or whatever, that can be considered an open record, and it can be asked that you would produce that. If you do those type of things on your personal computer, those may be subject to Kansas Open Records, so I always tell people, don't do things on your personal computers. Please use city business on city email, on city equipment. So if you, I'm not quite sure how you all work your emails and your notices, but if you don't have city email and we need to provide that for you, we can. But I would tell you to be very careful about using your personal computer to do city business. So there's all types of information in here, and again, so much of this is not going to apply to this group, and I don't want to go through all of it, but I do want you to understand one thing. If something comes up that we do request a record from you, we try. The law says that an agency must act upon your request as soon as possible, but not more than 3 days. Now, what that means is we are not required to provide all of the documents in 3 days, but we're required to respond back to the requester in 3 days. But again, best practice, if it's things that we have readily and that we can get out, we try to make that 3 days. If it's things we have to pull from off-site, sometimes there may be old plans or whatever it might be that might take a week when we order them from our off-site, then we respond back to the requester of what we're doing and the time frame that we expect to get those back to them. So that's really, again, like Coma, Cora can be enforced by anyone, a private citizen, a county or district attorney, or the attorney general. And that's our role, again, as staff, is to help you. That's why we are doing a lot of training with all of our newly appointed and even some of our people who have been on these boards and commissions and councils for years, going back through and reminding people what all of these mean. Does anybody have any questions? I know I went through that really, really fast. I did leave business cards both for myself and Kim, our city clerk. So if something would come up and you're not sure, the best thing is to always ask us. That's our role, is to help you and help you be successful so that you don't stumble and accidentally, I don't believe people do things intentionally. I think that we can stumble because we may not know or we didn't think about what that means in regard to Cora and Coma. So anytime you have a question, please feel free to contact any of us. Mr. Hall and his staff is always available. I know you work with all of them a lot. So we're here, we're your support group, and we thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Under Coma, say I send an email to a fellow committee council member or chair, say just a single email. It's not there's no quorum, there's nothing there. Does that email then still fall under Cora?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Any information, anything that's exchanged back and forth in the course of the business of performing city business or city government is subject to open records.
So we should probably, if we're going to use email, we should request a city email then? You
should.
Okay.
Yes. I highly recommend that. I have IT too, so we can help you. We can get that for you. But that will really, and it's a really nice clean way to look. This is my city business. Here's the things I do. I can get on and check my email, and we can help you with that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have the next part of the training or the presentation, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to introduce Michelle Leininger. She's going to cover the last part of this, the introduction to Planning 101. Michelle came to us about 2 weeks ago from the city of Lawrence. She's our planning manager, so she's already getting a lot of assignments and having a good time. Some of you might know Travis Holst. He's been with us a few months. He's our planning technician and has the good fortune to have to put together the minutes after all the meetings. But it's a good experience for him. Travis is a recent graduate of the master's program at University of Nebraska. Also want to just take a moment to let you know that Amy Kine